on Deegan. Fly Racing 30-second card is up. Here we go. Revs are up. Gates down.
Chance Hymas on the inside.
I think it is. Deegan going to try to get him. Hymas has the motosport.com hole shot. Can he hold the lead? He does.
He did a great job at holding it. You saw Hayden Deegan, all that water on the track, trying to stay up. And if it's important for Hayden with the mud on the racetrack, he's going to try to get around Hymas. But Chance Hymas got a third-place start in that first one. Now he's out front. Let's see what he can do with it.
And this time Levi Kitchen is up front. Didn't have the start he wanted in the first race. He's there third behind Deegan.
Yeah, now it's a tough position for these guys to be in because it's not a full mud race, but how much rain that's been on the track, it just makes it really just slippery on top. And it didn't rain enough to get it down in the soil, so all that rain, that water's just sitting on top of this track. It's going to be really slippery these first few laps.
Yeah, is it actually more slippery this way?
Yeah, and the hard part is it's more slippery because, as I was saying, the water just sat on top of that hard base, and they're still going fast. So it's not like a normal traditional mud race when it rains that much. These guys slow down. I don't suspect they're going to slow down too much on this race.
No, definitely not. Kitchen needs to get back to Deegan after a disappointing third in the first moto. Third's a good result, but he was never close enough to see him. He can see him now.
Yeah, and I was just looking behind Levi. I believe that's Tom Vial in fourth place, and he wasn't even close to those guys. So that's Jalek Swole behind him.
Vial's fifth, though. He's close. Oh, Kitchen sending it into the side. Almost got to Deegan.
That almost a friendship zone might have been over at that moment.
That's close.
That was really close. And Levi, how slippery this racetrack is, I would have just gave him an excuse, man. I couldn't stop, man. You see how slippery it is. But yeah, just showed you how they want to be in front of Hayden. They know how Hayden's been strong at the end of the motos, and don't let him get that confidence. Get in front of him. And I think the way this track will be, this moto, it'd be more like Levi likes it, a little bit deeper, a little bit more, technical, being so slippery. But he tried making that move.
How about Chance Hymas, who was the fastest rider in the first qualifying session of the year? Then I'm sure everyone started to say, is that real? Can he back that up? Oh, Kitchen just went off the track.
The Kitchen seat is leaking out there. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what Levi did. Let's probably overjumped that finish line, went off the track, but for sure, for him, that was tough. But yeah, Chance Hymas, like, he's been getting better all year long. We saw him in the first part of the motocross. He's been fast, Jason, all year, been top 3. And I think for him, it's the only next step is just going out here and winning the race. Maybe this is it.
So we talked to Hymas yesterday about starting to establish himself as one of the front runners in this class.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm starting to be one of the guys. Yeah, it's a good first step to get in there, and I know it's just going to get tougher from here. But yeah, I'm just stoked to try and establish myself as one of those top guys. And yeah, we'll keep building. We'll go east and hopefully keep this momentum going and even get a little bit better. So yeah, I would say I'm definitely a little bit of an underdog, and just trying to stay quiet and let my results show. But yeah, I've been feeling really good.
Looking really good right now.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. They're pacing around the inside of those corners, and you know, even though we were watching Hayden Deegan and Tom Vial, Chance rode really good that first moto. Levi was able to get him towards the end, but for most of that moto, Chance was still within 10 seconds of these guys, even though they was pushing that pace. So sometimes when you lose that gap on those leaders, you lose the toe. The gap can be a little bit wider than actual, speed-wise. And I think with Chance, the confidence, it's next. Like I said, the only next step, JT, is for him to go out there and win it. Maybe this is it.
Yeah, and you think about the conditions of this racetrack. For Chance Hymas growing up in Idaho, it's very similar to this. Really hard conditions with a little bit of loose dirt on top. That creates a really uncomfortable feel for most riders. The tires are kind of moving around at all times. They're not really planted. That's exactly what we have here. You throw some rain on top of that, it only exacerbates it. So it doesn't surprise me for Chance Hymas to feel comfortable and start to pull away here. This is exactly the same type of terrain he grew up on.
Well, only thing I know about Idaho is potatoes, so I'm going to take his word for it. But whatever it is, whatever he feels really comfortable, and again, as I said, he's been riding good all year long, but all day. And I think for him as well, Hayden Deegan, that I would say this is probably maybe one of the conditions that he probably wouldn't like, the ones that you have to be really patient. It'd be easy to make a mistake on. So Chance is in a great spot. He's out front, and Levi looks like he recovered off going off the track. He's in third place, only 2 seconds behind Chance, behind Hayden. So the race is on for all the three of these guys.
And Hymas, maybe because of the familiarity with this soil, did get a Moto podium at this race last year. That was the only one he got last year. He got injured not too far after this race. The critical juncture might be Jalek Swoll running strong in fourth on the Triumph. Vial's not been able to get him, and you know he wants to get back to this lead trio. Swoll riding very well.
Yeah, and that's just Jalek, like as you said, Jason. Jalek has been riding really good. He rode great that first moto, so I'm sure Tom wants to get around him, but it's not like he's, you know, struggling. That just shows how good Jalek is riding all year, but particularly this moto.
So there's Deegan in second, about 4 seconds nearly now off of Hymas, who has really picked it up.
I think Levi went down in that corner.
Oh, Kitchen no longer there. There's Swoll, there's Vial. So that's a shakeup for sure. Third place rider not in the picture.
Yeah, I think Levi went down and just watched the front end. But now Tom, there's one left rider he has to get, and I'm sure he wants to get back and you know, return that favor from that first moto, and he's got to be a lot closer. But it starts by seeing if he can get around Jalek, which he's been trying the first opening laps, and he hasn't been able to do it so far.
Vial, an unbelievable battle with Deegan in the first moto earlier today. What happened in that corner?
Yeah, he got sucked in. Jalek made that mistake, and I think Tom was, the way that turn is, it's a lot steeper than those guys, a lot sharper than those guys are anticipating. I think Tom was looking at Jalek make a mistake, and he almost ran off the track as well. That's the old MotoGP, you get sucked into the guy's draft moment right there.
Looks like Joe Shimoda has also moved around Kitchen. Kitchen must have gone down, and then he would be next, so he goes from third to sixth.
Yeah, and Joe was sneaky fast that first moto. Taking a look at his lap times, he came up from pretty far back, so Joe has some pace. Maybe he can do something with this moto, a little bit better start.
Joe Shimoda, haven't seen him up front early in these motos, definitely has strength late. See how far forward he can go. His teammate, Chance Hymas, continues to lead. Here's Shimoda, kind of waiting for the breakout from him.
Well, what's a breakout is what Chance Hymas just did that fastest lap, 2:21, and Hayden Deegan was about almost a second and a half slower at a 2:22, but Jalek Swoll and the rest of the field, they were at 2:24, so Chance Hymas not only going fast, he was going really fast this moto, and that's why that gap is going out to almost 10 seconds over these guys.
Impressive what Hymas is able to do. We watch Shimoda, see how close Kitchen is. About 4 seconds, so that is a big change for Kitchen after the crash. It's the motosport.com whole shot replay.
Yeah, I didn't see Hayden up there at first, but then I realized he was farther on the inside, but Chance was on the inside of him, and that's why he's able to get it. And usually, guys, you can get up and you're up in that top. This inside, just you can lead and push those guys and control the corner, and Chance Hymas came out with the motorsport whole shot.
Looked like Deegan was going to get him right there, but you really were impressed that Hymas able to hold it in turn two.
I was actually impressed that Hayden didn't give him the business in that corner, so both of them very impressive on that corner.
A little bit of patience from the youngsters. Hymas, 19 years old, celebrated his birthday 2 weeks ago at the season opener for Pro Motocross. Deegan is 18. This guy is rolling. Let's send it back to JT.
Well, you watch Chance Hymas here, and I think he's doing a lot of things that this track is rewarding. You see him standing almost all the way around the racetrack, and as it's gotten rougher, remember, these guys are used to going first in the format. They're going second today, so this is probably one of the roughest tracks they're going to face. Well, he's standing all the way around the racetrack, allowing his legs and allowing the motorcycle to absorb all of these bumps and work the way it's designed to. So I think it's a mixture of him feeling confident, which has been growing throughout the season, and him really riding the racetrack in the way that it wants to be ridden.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's saving a lot of energy doing that as well. It looks like he's, essentially riding around. He's hopping over the bumps and carrying the tall gear. He looks good. And the other part he's doing is pulling that gap on Hayden. So even once Hayden tries to close that gap, he's going to have to take the chances and try to make that gap up by pushing a little bit harder, which we see how this track is. As the guys start pushing, they make mistakes and an opportunity to go down. But, man, this is what we've been expecting from Chance Helmuth, and this might be that moto he rolls this thing in.
Yeah, 3, 4, 2, 4, 4 Moto finishes so far this year, and now leading. So Chance Hymas leading the way, looking for a first ever Moto win in his career. And he has started to pull away, but there has been action deeper in the pack. Let's show you this.
Tom Vial looks like Jalek Swold. Oh, yeah, so there's an inside line that I don't know if anybody really seen. Well, Tom saw it, and that was a nice move because I think if everybody saw that line, they would go. But Chance Hymas still, he's on rail. The only one that was even close to him that last lap was Tom Vial, and they ran pretty much the same lap times, except actually Tom was a little bit quicker. So got to be a lot faster than just going 2/10 to catch this kid.
Okay, but between Deegan and Vial, so it's about 4 or 5 seconds, but we're only 10 minutes somehow into this moto. So is there time for Vial to make another run at Deegan in part 2 of the battle?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think after, again, I just saw Tom's face. Is sometimes when people say nothing, they say a lot, and Tom didn't say anything, and he said a lot to me that first moto, and I believe he wants to go after Hayden Deegan if he can, and he's only 4 seconds by, so no excuses. He can get it done.
Got another kid to mention here. The battle, you're looking at Ryder DeFrancisco and Mark Finnis of the Muck-Off FXR Club MX Yamaha team, fresh into the pros, really making his full-time pro debut here. Didn't do it in Supercross, and this is impressive in the top 10.
Yeah, impressive ride by both of these guys. Ryder D, we saw him go down in that first corner in the first moto, so for him, nice to be inside that top 10, and also Mark. Both these guys are riding really good. They seem like they cleaned up a lot of part of the track, so opportunity to pass and make time is there.
Thinking of clean, this guy is clean. Hasn't taken on any roost because he's been out front the whole time. Chance Hymas. Hymas, remember, he did lead the first moto last week at Hangtown, and they eventually got to him. So I asked him yesterday, next time you're in that position, will it be different? And he says, yeah, the experience of leading, he hopes will make it easier next time around. This is the next time. Send it to Will with more on the 48.
He's a very methodical rider, isn't he, Jason? And that was what I was thinking when I was watching. I was reflecting back on some conversations that I've had with Chance through the Supercross season, where he's just talked about trusting the process of learning. And James, I know you've done a lot of tutoring to these young riders when they're coming out to the amateurs. They're used to winning. They're used to being surrounded by guys that they can beat, and suddenly they're thrown into this, and that takes some time to refigure out where you are. And Chance has talked that through with me and said, look, I've got to trust it. He even likened it to Hunter Lawrence. He said, look, if you do your homework, if you look deep, you can tell that we are both there. For Hunter, we're seeing that now, and I think it's Chance's time right now, JT, to show what he's made of too.
Yeah, and I think these next few laps are pivotal because Deegan has kind of kept the gap static here. He's got it down to about 5 seconds, and I've noticed that Hymas has made a few mistakes. Last lap was one of his worst ones, and I think the first 10 minutes or so were pure adrenaline. He gets his whole shot, and he takes off, right? He builds this big gap. Now he's got to fight those demons of overthinking the situation, thinking about winning your first moto, letting Deegan get back and closing that gap down to where you're now battling, because if Deegan can get within sights, and that's going to be that carrot situation that James Stewart talks about all the time, it only exacerbates that, and it's going to get Hayden more motivated, and it's only going to bring more stress to Chance Hymas. So just watch these next few laps. If he can hold it above 6 seconds, I think that will be the big difference.
Well, thanks, JT. Another battle brewing here. This is Shimoda and Swoll for 4th place.
Yeah, I think we're missing Tom Vial here because he was. Yeah, I think Tom Vial was closer. He must have went down because he was right on Hayden Deegan. And the reason Hayden was closing in on Chance because Tom was going 2 seconds faster than all of them. But now I don't see him in front of him, and it looks like he must have went down because he's behind these guys.
Oh, you're right. Good call, James. So Vial has lost 2 positions. He's behind Swoll and Shimoda, and Shimoda's digging. This is now a battle for a podium in this moto.
Yeah, good. Shout out to Jalik. He's been, again, riding good all day long. And that pace, as I was mentioning about the guys that get a gap, with Chance Hyman having to lead the gap over Hayden, now Hayden would have to push himself and try to push to make that that distance up. And Tom Vialle was in that same situation. Every time you do that on this racetrack, it's easy to make mistakes. We've seen it all day long, and it bit Tom Vialle this second moto.
Oh, what a battle between these three now, third, fourth, and fifth.
Yeah, Joe's been super close to Jalik this whole time, and Jalik's been holding his own. Jalik's found that inside that Tom Vialle had and made that pass.
You know, it would be huge for Swole to hold on, although it's going to be tough with Shimoda all over him. This is the first year in this championship for Triumph. They've been close to a podium in several different scenarios, Supercross, and in a couple of these early motocross motos.
Yeah, it's crazy how like some of these insides, they get just alongside of them, and then they can't do anything with them. That's just how the track plays out.
Shimoda looking at around the outside. It'll turn to the inside here, and he finishes the job.
Yeah, Joe was done with that. He said, I was on the inside, couldn't get it done. I'll go outside, inside. Nice move by him, caught him off surprise.
And we enter the second half of this race. We're reminded that Monster Energy available now at Maverick. See if Swole can respond. And can Vialle recover? Because in this championship, every point counts. You do not want to finish back there at fifth.
Yeah, every point counts. And I think Tom, I would almost say he probably felt like he let that first moto go away. And then for him, the second moto, I saw he didn't get a great start. He made his way up and then was starting to close in on those guys, going 2 seconds a lap faster, goes down again. So it might be a day that, going off of the confidence of last weekend, Tom rode way better than the results say, and it's probably going to be a day that he might feel like he let something go for sure.
Can he move back up? Challenging Swole right now.
If he goes up the inside, seems like they cut that single out for those guys.
Well, that's where we saw Sexton go down trying to make a pass. So a different inside line for Vialle, fighting Swole through the rollers behind the start gate. Not enough.
Yeah, I think one thing that Tom, he's gotten better at, and a lot of these guys, you know, when you look into 450 or certain riders, certain guys are just more aggressive. And I think if Tom was just a little bit more aggressive, I don't think, I mean, one, he would have made that pass, but I think Jalik would have probably let him have it. But since he's not, those guys just hold their own, and now Tom's stuck behind him again. So it's one of those things, that lesson kind of learned. Not being dirty or saying you got to knock a guy down, but sometimes you got to go in and bump the guy and then just respect so you don't get held up. Because Tom is clearly faster, but because Jalik is riding really good and holding his own, he has to make his way around in a different spot.
That was beautiful there by Vialle, working outside to in, and he makes the pass.
Make a great pass. He actually passed Jalik in the same spot twice now. Passed him earlier in that same spot.
That's that same inside. Yeah, that's right. That wasn't where Shimoda got him. Vialle got him earlier, then fell. So Shimoda's looking for his first moto podium since last season's Pro Motocross finale, when he actually won both motos at Ironman. But Vialle's going to make life difficult on him. Send it to Will Moore, the number 30.
I was talking to his mechanic, Ben Griffith, earlier about where Joe was. We saw this kind of slow build throughout Supercross there, and then right at the end of the season, he was on it, you know, and then the season's over. He said, where are we at? We're kind of having that same start to this season. And he said, yes, it's always a confidence building thing with Joe. He said, but today he walked in and he said, I feel good today. And he said, Joe doesn't come in and make statements like that. He's very understated kind of character. And he said, so I knew he was going to do good. And then he went ahead, and Joe was top of the board there in the second qualifier of the day. So perhaps Joe Shimoda a little frustrated with the fact that he's had to move forward, but I'm sure this performance in all today is going to help out.
Absolutely. Holding on to third would kind of reestablish him, because it has been nearly a podium lockout between Deegan, Vialle, Kitchen so far this year. Let's see if Joe can hold on. So Shimoda, kind of the knock on him lately has been, ends the championships really strong. As Will said, he just did that again in Supercross. What's it going to take to start strong? We talked to him about this yesterday.
Yeah, everyone's saying, yeah, late season Joe. You know, I'm kind of, you know, tired to hear that. Obviously, like, want to do good from first round, but I guess kind of like switching teams and knowing myself more with the team. I've, finding like I have a unique style of bike setup and stuff where all the team never been to. So kind of just it's a surprising thing. So it takes a little bit of time for me to adjust everything, but this time I feel like I'm more in a little bit closer side. So I'm excited for this weekend. Yeah.
Well, he's holding off Vial. In fact, I think he's a little bit further ahead now. Vial was closer earlier.
Yeah, Tom was a little bit closer. I mean, Joe's right. I mean, I think for us, it goes to a lot of, past history as we're watching Tom here. Past history with Joe, it's always been towards the end of the season, but this year he has switched teams. And the hard part for him, the competition like Tom Vial is really strong, JT.
Yeah, and for Tom Vial, I think he fancies himself in this championship fight. He's been in the battle with Hayden Deegan for 2 weekends in a row here. The problem is the points are starting to sneak away. It hasn't been big gaps, but you look up, and if it stays as they run, it's almost going to be a full race or full moto worth of points down, and it doesn't feel that way at all. So Hayden Deegan's doing it with consistency and moto wins, and he's sneaking away with this championship, even though it may not feel like it.
Yeah.
The Super Motocross playoffs offer some of the most unique fan experiences in professional sports. To find out more, go to feldexperiences.com and become part of the action. Yeah, pretty wild. If it ends like this, Hymas would actually be tied with Vial for second in the championship. So we talked about this podium lockout. Vial and Kitchen, Hymas is going to be just as good as they are when the points are tabulated if it ends this way.
Yeah, that's what I was about to bring up, and I guarantee probably Hayden doesn't even realize that Chanson's going to be in second in the points. But yeah, I mean, I think you got Levi Kitchen, 1 point back in fifth or fourth place. But yeah, Chance Hymas is sneaking into this thing and what this moto might do for him, because I believe Chance Hymas is the one kid out here that if he gets that confidence and wins one of these races, as he's doing right now in this moto, it wouldn't matter what anyone does. This kid is that talented that he can start running off with this field, as we saw with Hunter Lawrence. And so this might be that Pandora's box of, okay, now I believe you guys are in trouble. JT.
Yeah, and about 10 minutes ago, I brought up that gap that was so critical. When you look up, it went from 5 to 6 to 7, and that's exactly what Hymas needed to do here. He needed to reinforce the fact that the first few laps that he blitzed were not an anomaly, that he could hold this pace. And I think now Deegan is coming to an acceptance. If he can't close it down quickly, I think he'll find himself settling for second in this moto.
Yeah, I agreed. And when all that was happening, that's when Tom Vial was actually closing in a lot on Hayden Deegan. So Hayden Deegan might have picked up the pace to try to catch him. As we're watching the battle here, they're trying to catch Chance Hymas, and I think for him, this is a huge confidence boost for all these guys, really.
Catching back up with Mark Finnis, the pro rookie, that Club MX Yamaha team, still strong. Now battling with the veteran Joey Savacci, coming back into the 250 class this year on the Triumph. A lot of bad luck for Savacci so far this year. A couple of first turn pileups, a bike problem last week. There's Finnis, 19 years old. And I think that's Pierce Brown on the Troy Lee Designs Red Bull Gas just ahead. Yeah, Savacci has made another pass. So Savacci up to 8th. That'll push Brown to 9th. Finnis is 10th.
Battle the Yamahas. And that
Romano there.
And Romano and Jordan Smith
coming up on Finnis. And Julian Beaumer as well on the orange Red Bull KTM.
As Cody Schock just made a pass at the inside. Julian, we saw him go down the first moto, and I think with him, he's another guy like Chance Hymas and that Mark Finnis, one of the rookies that we were looking forward to coming in here. So just crashes and a couple injuries has kind of stalled that process out. But I think as the year goes on, we get into next year, as we're watching Chance Hymas get better and Jordan Smith and all these guys, if Julian can just finish this season, he's going to be a whole different rider next year.
And a good battle behind them. You mentioned Jordan Smith rolling up. He's going to battle it out with his teammate Romano, with Finnis just ahead all for a piece of the top 10. And this is what the 250 class always offers as you watch Pro Motocross here from Thunder Valley. You can go deep in the field and you still find battles. Smith trying to get his teammate Romano. Romano wheeling up the start straight to get him back.
He had too much power. Yamaha was about to hold on, baby. Nice move by him. I think he was pretty much letting Jordan have it, but he was like, I can't hold the bike down. I'm going to let it go. But nice recovery by him to keep fighting. And all these guys, you know, Jordan Smith probably wants to be a little bit higher up in this, but I think with Nick Romano, this is going to help him just to keep fighting. And, you know, as Jordan Smith makes the pass by him. But it's second moto late in the day. It is hot. This track is super tricky, so it's not surprising some of these guys might be getting a little bit tired, but it's still a strong performance by Nick.
Yeah, Romano, who missed the entire season last year with a torn ACL, then got his rookie campaign in Monster Energy Supercross completed this year, trying to rebuild himself. And he's got to deal with Boom Air now, then Shock, then Ryder DiFrancesco. 250 class goes deep, man.
It goes deep. There's battle for days. If you need some battles, just go back a little bit. They'll be there. So, yeah, it never stops here. And that's the hard part. And I think that's why it actually makes these kids stronger, because it's not like you can be in 10th. And sometimes in a 450 class, it just spreads out. Where in this class, you can be battling for 15th, and you might as well be up front, because the way they're battling, it's a hard race. And nice to see. Here you go. As Nick was just dealing with his teammate. Now he's got to deal with another rookie. And Julian, there he goes up the inside.
Wow.
Nice move.
Boom Air making that one look pretty easy on Romano. So that'll move Boom Air into 12th place.
They out here racing like they're battling for podiums out here. I love this part about the 250 class. Great stuff.
Boom Air telling me he's doing a lot of riding with Chase Sexton. Try to learn that intensity at the front end of the pack. Great racing throughout the 250 class here at the Toyota Thunder Valley National. Julian Beaumer making a move on Nick Romano. He's up to 12th. Got Jordan Smith just ahead. Mark Finnis looking for what I believe would be his first career top 10. He was good at the opener. Fox Raceway not so strong last weekend, but proving now that just outside the top 10 performance at the opener was no fluke for Finnis.
And I think when you look at the results, you might be wondering why we're showing 12th place, but this field is deep, and this is a great ride by these guys. So 12th place, 12th to 15th, inside the top 20. I mean, these guys are going from, we saw it last year with Levi Kitchen getting 11th and then winning the race. So the deeper you go in this field, it's not like they're slacking. These guys, it just shows how deep this field is and how good these young guys are. So you got Jordan Smith, more of a veteran, then you got a rookie in Julian. And at one point in the Supercross series, Jordan Smith had the red plate leading that championship, and now he's battling for 12th place, and it just shows you again how strong this field is.
Oh yeah, at the opener, Smith was borderline podium level. That's how quickly it can flip when the field is this closely matched. And as we watch this battle, I just want to update. Hymas is looking for his first career moto win out front. Deegan would be the overall winner for the weekend. You can see he's sitting on 1-2 scores. Maybe Deegan playing it smart here down the stretch. And that would make Deegan 3-0 on overalls this year. Good fight. Boom Air showing he's got heart. Almost 30 minutes into this one.
Yeah, he's always been that way. I've seen this kid come up. You know, he might go down or get a bad start. The kid always fights. But, yeah, you're speaking about Chance Hymas and the Deegan. I got to believe that Hayden, once this race is over and he sees where Chance is in the points, he might start looking at him differently. I think he was more concerned about Tom Vial. Like, if Tom Vial was in front, I think Hayden would have raced this race differently. But I don't know if he was necessarily worried about Chance Hymas, or maybe thinking that, hey, maybe he's going to fade and I might be able to get him at the end. So shout out to Chance Hymas. If he can finish this thing off, one, it'd be his first victory, but two, it'd kind of solidify that he is here and give him that confidence to move forward.
Yeah, they might have another contender on their hands with Chance Hymas. This would be the first rider to get his first moto win with Honda since Andrew Short in 2005. Catch up with Ty Masterpool here. I'll send it down to Will. What you got?
Just looking at Levi Kitchen there, as you guys were showing the overall points there in 5th, it's just not the day that he wanted. I spoke to you guys earlier and said that, you know, he had his eyes on the win this weekend. And I've got to wonder where they're at with bike setup, because they did say they'd been working to find a good base and they were getting there, but then when I'd spoken to the team between these two motos, they said actually they made some pretty significant changes there to get Levi feeling more comfortable. And a lot of it, we were talking about it with Jet, James. Levi Kitchen was in the hunt. He gets passed there again by his teammate. Levi Kitchen was in the hunt there in Supercross. He was up against it with RJ Hampshire there for the West region. So they just didn't get the focus that they wanted again on the outdoor setup. This is a new team with Pro Circuit, Monster Energy Pro Circuit, Kawasaki for Levi. So James, how tough is it when they're learning a brand new bike, they're in the hunt for a title and they're trying to figure out a bike then for outdoors?
Yeah, I mean, it's really tough. I mean, for a lot of these guys, I think Levi felt pretty comfortable like he was in Supercross, but I think the thing is, Levi was in a position where he was, you know, battling with Hayden Deegan when this series started, and now just going through that Supercross season, being a title threat, losing it at the last race, you come outdoors and you get out, you know, you're winning the first moto, almost going to win the second moto at the first race, and then now you find yourself a couple weekends in battling for 10th. I think it's just more the mindset of his heart. Levi wants to be up front, so it's a different position to where last year I think he would be different as being okay being in this spot, but going from winning, almost winning the title, to now with running 6th, I think 6th or 7th here in this moto, I think you're just starting to see it weighing on him, and it's hard to be where he's at. He wants to win, and 7th place isn't where he wants to be at, and that's where you're starting to see it.
Yeah, because this would be the first moto of the season with Kitchen off the podium. Meanwhile, Chance Hymas trying to put the finishing touches on a first win. Moto win looks to be in order for Chance Hymas. He'll come up just short of the overall victory today. Hayden Deegan will take that, but this is still a huge step. Hymas led a lot last week in Hangtown. They got to him. He did not let that happen this time.
No, he definitely didn't. And the reason why that gap is coming down a little bit is because if you look, that rider in 3rd place is on a tear, and he's starting to close in. He's within 3 seconds of Hayden Deegan, so Hayden has to pick up the pace, which is pushing him up the Chance. But this gap almost got up to 9 seconds at one point, so if Chance can finish this lap off, I think he'll be fine. And Hayden Deegan has to run this thing to the finish because he's got Joe Shimoda within 2 seconds behind him, and I think that might change the overall points if that happens as well.
Okay, you look at the event points, that is the overall finish. Shimoda like to be able to rip an overall podium away from Vial, depending on how this shakes out. Right now, you're looking at Deegan, Hymas, and Vial as the top 3 overall for the day. And as we mentioned earlier, it would move Hymas into a tie with Vial for 2nd in points. And James, how tough is it for a guy like Hymas, who really did not have any results to speak of in Supercross this year, to just dig himself out of that hole and instantly go to the front the minute this Motocross Championship began?
Well, I think that his mindset coming in was probably going to be tough, and I think if he went to that first race and maybe got 10th, it would have been really hard, because what happened in Supercross, it continues at least for the first moto. But the fact is, he rode good in practice, and he came out that first moto and was running top 3. That erased everything in the Supercross series, and so what you're seeing is a guy who knew he was always fast and backing that talent up with results now, allowing him to win. So it erased everything about the Supercross series. So yeah, he came out, did what he needed to do. Now you're seeing Chance Hymas 1 lap from getting his first ever victory if he can hold on.
Chance Hymas leading the way here. Thunder Valley in Colorado, Pro Motocross, and 1 lap to go for him to get his first career Moto victory. He will not win the overall for the weekend. That will go to Hayden Deegan. But a big step for Hymas, who is establishing himself rapidly as a championship contender. Got a Moto podium at this track a year ago, and then tore his ACL, and that was the end of his season. And he's picking up in motocross where he left off. Now, he is very comfortable on this particular racetrack, but confidence is confidence, right? Whether it's a track you're good or bad on, you win, it's got to be a breakthrough.
Oh, it's a breakthrough. I mean, I would say, yeah, I mean, this is something Idaho, I guess, is more like them, but the way Chance rides, I mean, he's going to be here. He's been fast all year long, and we're looking at a shot of his teammates, both Jet Lawrence and Hunter Lawrence. I guess Jet's got his legs back, and then I think his family are right there. They're watching Chance get a a huge victory if he can hold this off another half a lap.
Well, it's pretty funny. A year ago, Hunter comes across the finish line, and then he was in the 250 class at the time. Hymas got third. Jet ran down. They were all high-fiving each other. And a year later, it looks like Chance, who does ride and train with them, I believe that's his mom right there in the black jacket. Hymas does ride and train with them. And this is a total team effort, not just teammates, but also the riding during the week. They're proud of their little student here. He's about to graduate with a Moto win.
Yeah, absolutely. And his teammate in Joe Shimoda is running third place. So a great day for Honda. Nice bounce back. We had a KTM weekend. Now I would say we're
Mom's
getting
getting emotional now.
Yeah, she's nervous. She's like my mom. Hi, mama.
And the kid they used to call Super Chunk in his early days on the mini cycles, I'll let you figure out why, but he is a fitness animal now. No longer does that nickname fit, and he has shown that he is fit. This time, he's going to get the lead and hold it. We started the day talking Kitchen, Vial, Deegan establishing themselves in this series. I think Chance Hymas is for real as a contender as well.
Super chunk. Those things might be super chunk in that gap for be out front. But looking at Hayden Deegan and Joe Shimoda.
Look at this. Past the mechanic. Nodding. He feels good because for the first time ever, Chance Hymas is a winner as a professional. He takes the Moto win. Deegan will hold off Shimoda to the line. And that should give Deegan the overall man. If Shimoda had gotten there, it would have been an overall win for Hymas. I think Mom's happy enough.
Yeah, she's fine. She's fine.